Hey everyone, Miss Waite here. And here with another instructional video. Going to talk about setting up a notebook today. So what you are looking at is something called the Ebbinghaus forgetting curve and review cycle. And this is a curve that was created after a bunch of research about how people retain things, memory, and how memory gets lost. And what you'll see is that blue curve and then dashed back up and then curved down again and dashed back up is this curve that we're looking at. When you first learn something, you know about 100% of it. It's right there. You just learned it, and so you know. But if you notice, as this blue curve goes down, it only takes about a day until you're down to only remembering about 80% of that information. And so notice that if that curve continued, that's that gray part, by the time you were only 3 days out, you would only be remembering about 60% of the information that you learned on that day. And so it doesn't take very long for you to forget a lot of what you've been taught. However, the review cycle tells us that if we repeat information again, or if we review information, then we can pop that curve right back up to 100 again and remember longer. So notice what happens in this curve when it pops back up, that first dashed line. This is the first time you might have reviewed the information you learned in, say, a math class, and you pop back up to that 100%. And then notice how the curve still goes down. You still forget stuff, but not quite as dramatically. And after reviewing it only one time, it takes all the way to 7 days now, or a full week out, before you lose about 40% of what you learned. Now, after 3 days, notice if you review again, you can pop that right back up again and remember everything you learned 3 days ago, and then that curve gets even flatter. And now we're way out until the almost 10, 11, 12 days before you forget 40% of the information. And then review it again, and you'll see that it's not really calculable as far as the scale goes, how long it takes for you to forget that information. So the point of this is to show you that we quickly forget things if we only hear it once. But if we hear it once and then review it, and then review it again, and then review it again, every time we do that, we retain more information and we make it harder to forget that information. And that is why I want you to keep a notebook. We're going to call them interactive notebooks. There's all kinds of names for these, but to be truly successful in math class, you have to be organized. Organization virtually guarantees that you're going to be able to look up any information that you do forget, and these notebooks are going to help you do that review process, and we're going to do that as a part of the class. I'm going to show you how to create good notes and review them in a very purposeful way, and you'll find yourself forgetting almost none of the math that you learn. So what you're going to need is a spiral notebook and a writing utensil. If you don't have either one of those things, pause this video and go get them. If you don't have a spiral notebook, or you can't get a spiral notebook for whatever reason, let me know, and I would be happy to get one for you. I'll make sure you get one. So just send me an email. All right, so in this class, I'm thinking you're going to be taking a lot of notes. You're going to need to learn this information, and you're going to need to be able to record it somewhere. And I'm going to ask you to take these interactive notes, because I think that when you interact more and more with your the material that you learned, you forget less and less of it. And so that's the idea. So there's a style of notes called Cornell notes, and that's kind of what I'm going to ask you to use. So Cornell notes look a whole lot like this. You take the paper and you draw a line at the top, and you put the topic of what you're learning at the top of the paper so you can always find it. Now, with our lessons, there's going to be essential questions, things like, how can you use notation to visualize geometric concepts? You're going to put that essential question down below your topic. And then about 1/3 of the way over, you're going to draw a line down your paper, and you're going to leave a blank space for questions, and those will get filled in later. Down at the bottom of your paper, you can draw a line all the way across the bottom and create a space for a summary, and those things happen later too. When you first take notes about material, it goes in this big box right here. So this is what each page of your notebook will look like. You're going to draw lines so that you create space for a topic, an essential question, questions, notes, and a summary at the bottom. Okay. So, but you have to have a good setup and you have to be able to look things up. And as we go forward with note taking, I'll show you a little bit more about how to take notes in that Cornell way. So don't worry about that. What you're going to do right now is you're going to set up your notebook. So right now, write table of contents at the top of the first page. Excuse me. Here's some examples of what some people have done. There's a great example of what a table of contents can look like. Or maybe you want it to look more like this. Excuse me. Or maybe you want it to look a little bit more like this. All of that's totally good. Right across the top of your paper, you're going to write table of contents. Now, skip 4 pages front and back. So the page that you wrote table of contents on, there's 1. The back of it is 2. The next page is 3. And the back of that is 4. So you've essentially turned 2 leaves of paper. Those are going to be your table of contents. And you're turning 2 pieces of paper so that you can leave room for that table of contents to grow. Now, on the 5th page, you're going to write the number 1 in the lower right-hand corner, like you're seeing in that picture right there. Then, when you get done with that, turn the page, and in the bottom right-hand corner again, so leaving a page blank, now down at the lower right-hand corner again, you're going to write a 2. Turn the page, lower right-hand corner, write a 3. Keep doing that until you get to 10. And then you have the first 10 pages of your notebook ready to go. And when you start taking notes, you'll start on the page that's labeled 1. You'll put that topic into your table of contents and tell yourself it's on page 1. You don't have to worry about doing that now. We'll do that together as we move forward. All you want to have in your notebook right now is table of contents on 1 page, turn that page, turn another page, and then start with the number 1. And that's really all you need. So here's some examples of what some completed notebooks look like. This was a notebook that somebody used some color coding. Notice they have the topic and the essential question up here. They have a place to write questions. They have the actual notes that they took. And then they also have some summaries here, a summary of what's on that page down there. Here's another opportunity to take a look at what that can look like. It doesn't have to be fancy. These are your notes and they need to work for you. But when you take the notes and then you write questions about the notes and then you summarize your notes, you're getting into those notes 3 times, which means at different times, which means you are extending that curve of forgetting. Here's another example. Got all the elements, got some place to write some notes. On this one, this person decided to put the essential question and the topics on the facing page. You can do that if you want. It's fine. However this works for you, as long as you have the room to do it. All right. Oh, this is not for you. So let me go and quit presenting this. I sure hope that helped. Setting up your notebook is what you're up to today. I'm also going to be, what am I going to do? What else are you going to do? Oh yeah, I'm going to put into the Google Classroom a link to a thing called a Padlet. And it's just going to say questions at the top. Down in the lower right-hand corner, you're going to be able to click a plus sign. And then it'll pull up a little field where you can type in any questions that you might have at this point. And this is just another way for us to communicate with one another. Your questions could be about anything we've done so far. Remember that I'm holding office hours now. That information is on the Google Classroom. You can also pop in during our scheduled class. If you want to, I'm here to help. Let me know how I can be best helpful to you. Have a good day. I am trying to turn this off, and now I am turning it off. Okay, bye.